In the corridor, Max remained still and silent, the physical illness warring with sick suspicion. Armed robbery. The two words reeled in his head.
"We'd be better off in New York," Hawkins complained. "I cased out the Wallingford job while you were kicking your heels last month. We could have the old lady's diamonds inside of a week." "The diamonds will wait." Caulfield's voice hardened. "I want the emeralds, and I intend to have them. I've been 20 years in the business of stealing, Hawkins, and I know that only once in a lifetime does a man have the chance for something this big. The diamonds are stones." Now the voice was caressing and perhaps a little mad. "The emeralds are a legend. They're going to be mine. Whatever it takes." Max stood frozen outside the stateroom. The clammy illness roiling inside of his stomach was iced with shock. He hadn't a clue what they were talking about or how to put it together, but one thing was obvious. He was being used by a thief, and there was something other than history in the papers he'd been hired to research. The fanaticism in Caulfield's voice hadn't escaped him, nor had the suppressed violence in Hawkins's. And fanaticism had proved itself throughout history to be a most dangerous weapon. His only defense against it was knowledge. He had to get the papers, get them and find a way off the boat and to the police, though whatever he could tell them wouldn't make sense. He stepped back, hoping he could clear his thoughts by the time he got to his stateroom. A wicked wave had the boat lurching, and Max pitching through the open doorway. "Dr. Quartermain." Gripping the sides of his desk, Caulfield lifted a brow. "Well, it seems as though you're in the wrong place at the wrong time." Max grasped the door jamb as he stumbled back, cursing the unsteady deck beneath his feet. "I wanted some air." "He heard every damn word," the captain muttered. "I'm aware of that, Hawkins. The professor isn't blessed with a poker face. Well then," he began as he slid a drawer open, "we'll simply alter the plans a bit. I'm afraid you won't be granted any shore leave during our stay in Bar Harbor, Doctor." He pulled out a chrome-plated revolver. "An inconvenience, I know, but I'm sure you'll find your cabin more than adequate for your needs while you work. Hawkins, take him back and lock him in." A crash of thunder vibrated the boat. It was all Max needed to uproot his legs. As the boat swayed, he rushed back into the corridor. Pulling himself along by the handrail, he fought the motion of the boat. The shouts behind him were lost as he came above deck into the howl of the wind. A spray of salt water dashed across his face, blinding him for a moment as he frantically looked for a means of escape. Lightning cracked the black sky, showing him the single stab of light, the pitching seas, the distant, angry rocks, and the vague shadow of land. The next roll nearly felled him, but he managed through a combination of luck and sheer will to stay upright. Driven by instinct, he ran, feet sliding on the wet deck. In the next flash of lightning, he saw one of the mates glance over from his post. The man called something and gestured, but Max spun around on the slippery deck and ran on. He tried to think, but his head was too crowded, too jumbled. The storm, the pitching boat, the image of that glinting gun. It was like being caught in someone else's nightmare. He was a history professor, a man who lived in books, rarely surfacing long enough to remember if he'd eaten or picked up his cleaning. He was, he knew, terminally boring, calmly pacing himself on the academic treadmill as he had done all of his life. Surely he couldn't be on a yacht in the Atlantic being chased by armed thieves. "Doctor." His erstwhile employer's voice was close enough to cause Max to turn around. The gun being held less than 5 feet away reminded Max that some nightmares were real. Slowly he backed up until he rammed into the guardrail. There was nowhere left to run. "I know this is an inconvenience," Caulfield said, "but I think it would be wise if you went back to your cabin." A bolt of lightning emphasized the point.